Hey, how are you this afternoon? Dr. Mary here, the Total Wellness Doc and Mom, and I'm excited to be here for Wednesday Wellness. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk a little bit about health and wellness, and I came to you from a topic that uh, I see probably every 3 to 6 months. I call it mystery illness. How do some of you know someone out there? How many of you know someone out there who's been to doctor upon doctor upon doctor and just can't figure out what's the cause of whatever, whether it's a pain or it is digestive fatigue? Just anyone have that experience out there? Well, I have 5 stories I want to share with you. Some that I just recently heard, but some that I've had in my practice. So I'm making sure that I write down um, a bunch of things. So we're going to talk about pain and numbness, like mystery pain and numbness. We're going to talk about fatigue, headaches that just won't go away. We're going to talk about almost like that really awful, I guess you could label it a chronic fatigue. Okay. We are going to talk about swelling, mystery swelling. And what else? I know I have one other, but it'll come back to me. It'll definitely come back to me. So let me know in the comments if you have any mystery things in your family, friends, things like that. So I will try to pull from this. I'm going to try to keep these Wednesday Wellness to about 20 minutes so that you can, go back to it, listen, take good notes, all of that. And then I'm going to give you a few of the mystery solutions that we have found through the years. All right. So who's joining us out there? Anyone have had a mystery illness before or something they just couldn't figure out? Maybe they kept getting sick and they couldn't figure out that's what I was going to do. I think Miss Holly, our associate on there, can share a little bit with that. Keep getting sick, can't figure out why I'm having so many lung issues. Okay. All right. So if we've never met before, my name is Dr. Mary Starr. I'm known as the Total Wellness Doc and Mom. And my health and wellness career started more than 20 years ago when I was on my way to medical school at the time. And my boyfriend, now husband, fell off a ladder. And I was working on him. And he says to me, "Why don't you be a chiropractor?" And I said, "Wow, that makes so much sense because I don't really dig all the drugs and different things that the medical profession has to do. I really like a more natural view, right? Looking at the real root causes of things." So that kind of pivoted my direction from all my applications and MCATs to medical school into being a chiropractor. And I was accepted and on my way to be a chiropractor in a very short period of time, and spent the next many years doing that, about 5 years, doing that, and then doing my internship, residency, and going on to be a chiropractor. But I've always done things a bit different than most people. And today we have a couple of great associates on, wellness associates, who also have had some of those mystery illnesses and probably can talk more about their specific issues that they have going on. All right, so let's get started. I'm gonna drink my special red drink that I love to have every day this time of day. All right, so let me tell you about Elaine. So I was walking the other day in my neighborhood, and for those of you know, I'm very much a believer in our Lord and Savior, and have a very good personal relationship, and he tells me what to do. And he told me to walk this certain way on Monday. So Monday, I'm going around the corner, and here's this woman. She's like stuck in her scooter, and she's can't get up the little hill, and I guess the scooter died, and I started a conversation with her. Well, 45 minutes later, I knew that I knew that I knew why God had me stop to talk to this woman. It wasn't so much for me to help her, it really was about me listening to her and him reminding me of how important it is to share with you about mystery illnesses because so many times we go down one road and that one road says, well, I think it's this, right? I think it's irritable bowel. So let's put you on this medicine, which may cause another side effect. And then the poor person gets this side effect. And now they have to do this. And, 10 medications later, they haven't still got to the root cause of the problem. So we're going to share Elaine's story and we're going to share some others. One of the questions that came in over this week was a question about shingles. And those of you who don't know what shingles is I know it's going to sound gross, but it's just what it is. It's the herpes virus. And the herpes virus is also the chickenpox virus. Did you know that? When you go get your chickenpox vaccine, you're injecting the herpes, right? The dead herpes virus into you. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But this shingles virus actually lives in the spine. It lives in something called the dorsal root ganglion of the spine, and it can lay dormant for many, many years. So this virus can lay dormant for many, many years. And people believe, how many of you know someone, we call them fever blisters, right? Nobody calls them herpes when they're on their lips. How many of you know someone who's had a lot of stress and's got a fever blister? How many know someone who maybe eats too acidic food or eats a lot of sugar or something like that? Maybe you personally. I know someone in my life. They eat too much sugar or too much acid, or they eat a certain thing. They get these herpes viruses, fever blisters, we'll call them. So, point being, a client asked me about shingles, and shingles is very, very painful. It's a neurological disease because the virus actually lives in the nerves. It usually is like a patch around the body or somewhere on the body. It's super painful. Not a lot that you can do with that. But guess what? One of the things that they're finding, and I have seen in patient after patient, is because stress depletes the bodies of certain minerals and vitamins, that magnesium, right? Particularly a magnesium calcium, restored in the body can help those symptoms and actually keep them at bay, cause the pain to go down quite a bit. Now, I'm not going to go too much into magnesium, calcium, but there's different brands on the market. This is one of my favorites called Mega Cal. It's just a powder. You take that at night and you just helps your body. One of the reasons too that some people become deficient is if you're doing a lot of cleansing, right? You're doing a lot of colon cleansing and not restoring the good minerals back in your body. That's important. If you're struggling with sleep at night, magnesium calcium is good. If you are struggling with restless leg syndrome, right, or pain in your legs at night, this is a great supplement to have. This is called MegaCal. This one's put out by Young Living. There are a lot of brands on the market, but it's just one of my favorites that I really like. And there's actually magnesium that you can just rub on as well. It's a little itchy, and I've had clients use it, and they're not as favorable about it too. But you can do that. Even just an Epsom salt bath. Actually, one of my colleagues and associates, Shannon Conover, said once a week, just soaking in an Epsom salt bath is going to give your body some good magnesium, and it's going to help detoxify your body from what it doesn't need, along with a little lavender essential oil to help you relax. Okay, so that is just one of the first things I wanted to talk to you about was shingles and how I believe it is a partially due because of stress. And stress does deplete the body. And when the body's depleted, I think people have a harder time with that. So that's why I like the magnesium calcium. Okay, so we talked about that. All right, next up, I want to talk about, and I think my colleague Holly, who's on as well, has a good story about this too. But have you ever run into someone who's like, oh man, I'm getting sick all the time. I'm constantly getting sinus infections. I'm feeling run down. My my lungs are having a hard time breathing, like all of that. Well, I remember when I had my first case with this, and this is a very, very sad story because this woman is not with us anymore. This first case, I can't, Kay was her name. Kay was her name. It was in Oswego, New York. And Kay came to my office and she said, I don't know what, da, da, da. Well, lo and behold, Kay had the infamous black mold in one of her places where she had cleaned out and was really exposed to a lot of black mold. Now, she wasn't necessarily living in the black mold, but she, have you ever, let me give you an example. Today, they were cutting down a tree. It's very dry here. It's a very, very big tree. And then they were putting it through the little chopper upper thing, and there was dust everywhere. And all of those workers had masks on, not because of social distancing, but because it was so bad. In fact, I went outside with my son and we were taking pictures, and I was like, oh, this is harmful. This isn't good to breathe, right? This is not good to breathe. In fact, I understand, because I understand the body, that if I breathe that in, that's, my body's going to have a hard time and it's going to want to get it out. So even when you're just exposed maybe once or for a period of hours of some severe black mold, especially if your immune system is knocked down and your lungs already have an issue or whatever it is, and you get that through the sinuses, that can fester and just not be a good thing. And she really never recovered. In fact, we tried to do some natural things with her. She did a variety of medical things and stuff like that, and she just was not religious with it. And sadly, said she couldn't afford it. And it was sad to watch the demise of this woman because she knew that what she had going on was very serious. Now, there's a whole bunch of ways to treat black mold, but there is an expert out there. He's in the Tennessee, Kentucky area. His name is Hans Hinterkopf, and he is an expert working with women, women's health, and with mold issues. And mold issues can show up like fatigue, chronic fatigue. They can show up like getting sick all the time, sinuses, things like that. His name is Hans Hinterkopf. Maybe someone can put it in the comments or tag him here. We'll make sure to tag him. But he has a clinic there, and I believe he works with people remotely too. Very, very, very good. Highly recommend him to do that. So mystery illnesses can have a lot to do with mold. Along those lines too is mystery illnesses usually are not just one thing. So it's probably not just mold. It could be what we call co-infections. Just like a mystery illness, one of the biggest ones out there is called Lyme's disease. And it's believed that many, many, many of us harbor that Lyme's. It's not even a virus. I forget what they call it, but we'll say it's a virus. Harbor the Lyme's in our body. And then when we have a lot of stress, when our bodies are out of whack, when we're doing that, the Lyme's really can take over. Or if we have things like irritable bowel and leaky gut and those things too, that it just really proliferates and we're done, right? So I have multiple friends and colleagues who have struggled with Lyme's disease, who spent thousands upon thousands of dollars traveling all over the world to meet with different doctors and things like that to get solutions for their life and to get their life back. So I'm going to give you 2 referrals for that. So mystery illnesses, these are the people that you want to work with because they spent thousands and thousands of dollars. One is Janice Paz, and hopefully we can tag her here in the comments as well. Janice Paz. And as well as Janice Paz is Annette Filmer Dean, right? Annette Filmer Dean. And we'll try to tag them as well. And they're in the central New York area, but I believe they do remote consultations as well. So those are 2 people that can give you both their stories and some of the things that they did to regain their life and literally gain their life back, like going from death's door because of Lyme's and co-infections to coming back to their life. Okay, so um, Sandy, who's on here, Shattuck, is has personally experienced some of these things too. Chronic Epstein-Barr virus. Yeah, and this one's a doozy because there is a lot, I've heard, there's a lot of this Epstein-Barr virus. It's not just one, there's I guess dozens of them. And this it can show up not just with fatigue, but now they're finding, again, mystery illness. Do you know anyone who's had unstable ears, dizziness, a lot of dizziness? They're maybe diagnosed with Meniere's syndrome. Okay, one of the causes could be from this Epstein-Barr virus. And so I would recommend you connect with Sandy. I'm sure she does some consultations to help. I really like a few techniques, some that use some therapeutic natural remedies that she'll be able to share with you. So Sandy is on there and she can connect with you if that's something that you feel might be a direction for you. Okay, but that Meniere's syndrome, I wanted to talk to you about that. That now they're finding that this dizziness, the ears, all of that has a lot to do with that virus. Okay, something you're probably not going to hear when you go to a medical doctor or an ear, nose, and throat, audiologist, anything like that. But it's coming up, and I bet you in the next 5 years it'll make it to the mainstream where, oh yes, this is what caused that. So now that we're on the road to virus, let's talk about a few of Elaine's stories that she shared with me. So Elaine is in her 80s, and probably about 15, 20 years ago, she was in prime of her career. She was very, very successful in what she did. And all of a sudden, she woke up one morning and she literally can't use her hands. How many of you know someone is like, has some mystery illness, like they can't figure out why they can't use their hands? She couldn't lift her purse. She couldn't, she wasn't able to, like, carry anything. She couldn't dress herself. She couldn't, you can't use your hands. It's ridiculous. Now, another colleague who's been down this road, I love this woman. Her name is Catherine Faso, and she can share more of the solution that Elaine found. So Elaine's living like this, and it's months and months and months. The doctor's done all these things. They've done the conductivity test, all of that. They cannot figure out why she can't use her hands. And she goes one day to this like travel trailer show, RV show with her husband. Her husband's carrying her purse, and they're going line. And all of a sudden, she looks over this one table. This one table has this, pain cream or something like that. And she stands in line. She tells him what's going on. He goes, I don't know. All I know is, why don't we rub it all over your hands and see what happens? So they rub it all over her hand. She's very skeptical. She's walking through. About an hour and a half later, she's like, I think I have some sensation. I feel like I've gotten some strength. She goes, no, must be in my head. Must be in my head. But as time went on, she's like, no, I think this is really doing something. And she got this cream. Now, what was in this cream? Something called MSM. MSM. I want you to Google it, look it up. It's a phenomenal product. People call it a wonder drug. I don't know. All I know is what MSM does. There's some great videos out there on that. Dr. Lindsay, I forget where she's a pharmacist. She's a pharmacist. She talks about natural health. Well, what MSM does is it goes into the cells and helps to bring water and helps to bring more nutrition into the cells. It's a phenomenal product, especially anybody who has any, joint stuff like that issues. But this MSM just rubbed on her hands brought life back, right, to her. She went to her doctor and they finally figured out they believed that she had a virus. Interesting, huh? Very interesting. Now, Catherine Faso has a very interesting story herself where she was not able to pick up. She wasn't even able to pick up, like, um, milk jugs and things like that. She had lost it. And this was, she was in her not even 50 yet, right? In her 40s, and not be able to lift this. And it had nothing to do with the, muscles and nerves impingement, anything like that. But Catherine is doing very, very good today. So I want to share with you my favorite MSM product. It is really, I believe, one of the best. I've been using this for almost 20 years with my clients. It's called Sulfurzyme. And the reason I like this MSM, and people say, oh, I'm allergic to sulfur. Well, again, connect with the Pharmacista video. She talks about how this isn't sulfur. It's methyl sulfana, da, 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 da. It's not pure sulfur, okay? Pure MSM works so much better when it's paired with a natural vitamin C, okay? And what's in this sulfurzyme is called the goji berry or the wolfberry, which you can look up, the Lycium barbarum, the goji berry, lots of great research with this. But this sulfurzyme, these two paired together, really have a phenomenal, powerful effect on your body and your immune system and your hair and nails, right? MSM and wolfberry fruit powder supplement. It's a phenomenal product for your body, hair, nails. Just try it. I guarantee, just try it for a month and you'll see quite a difference. So I love, love, love that product. And we have a special group of people who they have some amazing results, things I can't even share or we'd be here all night. But if you want to connect more with learning about how you can use the Sulfurzyme and it benefit your health, let us know. We'll see if we can get you into that group. Okay, so I've talked about mystery pain in your hands. And again, in Elaine's case, they did feel that it was a virus. Now, why does MSM affect that? I don't know. All I know is what she told me. So that is pretty, just a great, great story. The next thing I want to tell you is about my friend Julie. And we were talking earlier about things like chronic fatigue. Well, Julie got to the point in her 20s, her late 20s, where she could barely walk up the stairs. She was so tired. Like she couldn't even go outside and go around the block. She was sleeping all the time. She was losing her life. And I know a lot of, particularly women, because I do believe that this, whether it's a virus or whatever it is affecting more and more women than men, but there are men as well where this is happening. And Julie was able to connect with a phenomenal naturopath who started to lead her in a direction of using food, nutrition, and using something called Ninja Red, which is that goji berry, right? And what happens is when you use food, right? Use food, particularly a food that is pureed, this goji berry, which is pureed in Ninja Red, and you're getting such a high dose into your body because it becomes, when you drink a liquid, it becomes much more bioavailable than versus me, chewing, digesting, all of those things. And when you add with the goji berry, food grade essential oil, when you pair those things, it allows it to just be more absorbed. Does that make sense? I don't know. All I know is Julie, after 2 weeks of making some of these lifestyle change, nutrition change, and adding the Ninja wolfberries, she was able to walk around the block. She was able to get on the road of getting her life back, and today has a healthy, 6-year-old baby, is married, lives a very abundant, happy, healthy life. So what was the missing piece? Was it nutrition? Was it her lifestyle? Some of the lifestyles she changed? Was it a virus? Was it a combination? And most of the time when people are really that ill, it's not just one thing that makes the biggest change. Although I have seen certain nutritional supplements like radically 180, 360 people's lives, but it's a combination of those lifestyle changes that really, really matters to that. So that was Julie's story. Let me tell you about Elaine's son. Okay, this is another big one that I see in my field, as in the natural health field, and being a chiropractor, is that it's a very overlooked area, particularly with kids and even in adults. Elaine's son was playing next door. It was like the 4th of July or something, and he tripped over those old style, um, what do they call them? Sprinklers, right? And he had a really bad fall, fell on his back, his neck, and everything. They thought, did he break anything and stuff? And he was just kind of a little docile after that. And then for weeks and months, he was just fatigued. He would come home from school, he would just sleep. And then one day he opens up to his mom. He says, yeah, basically I'm eating aspirin morning, noon, and night because I have this terrible headache. Now, a young teenager should not be having headaches. There's something going on there. And so, I forgot a story to do that. But anyway, they took him to a chiropractor. After his first adjustment, he was 50% better. After his third adjustment, he had no more headaches. He was vibrant. He was healthy. He was doing all the things he used to do before he was off of all that aspirin. Why? Because falls, even the way a child is born, right? Particularly C-sections and the way they have to take them out can cause these little irritations in the nerve. And those nerves can cause pain. They can cause other issues in the body. I could talk about chiropractic all our Wellness Wednesday, but that's our story. And then the last story, and we're going to end on another great chiropractic story, mystery illness, is Elaine's husband, Ted, was having horrific back issues. He would go to work. He would just be miserable. He'd be able to do nothing. The doctors told him he just had to live with it. That was it. Nothing worked for him. Well, she was seeing her hairdresser, and telling her hairdresser about her husband, Ted. She goes, I don't know. She goes, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my chiropractor. Now, this is 40 years ago. 40 years ago when chiropractic wasn't as prevalent, well, that word, as it is today. So 40 years ago, this hairdresser said, my doctor said that I had to live with it, that I would be in bed for the rest of my life, that my pain was so bad that I wanted to take my life. Like, I couldn't get out of bed. I had to have my husband helping dress me. Like, it was off. So this is a hairdresser sharing with me. And someone told me about a chiropractor. And I started going to the chiropractor, and here I am today. I don't have the pain. I can move my legs. I can dress myself. All of these phenomenal things. So Elaine took that information, sent her husband, didn't give him a choice, sent him to this chiropractor. And for years and years and years, Ted lived a very pain-free life, was mobile, all of those things. So those are some of my mystery stories. I have a lot of the more mystery stories, but let's just review what we talked about today. We talked about today some mystery things like shingles. We started off talking about shingles and how shingles can be caused because your body's becoming too depleted in minerals. You're doing too much cleansing. You're probably deficient in a variety of minerals and vitamins. And I really recommend using the magnesium calcium supplement, just a very, very good supplement for the body. We talked about that. Then we heard Elaine's story about how she literally couldn't use her hands. And we recommended, Catherine Faso has very, very similar story. And Elaine was using that MSM cream, right? And we heard that probably the doctors feel that she had a virus. So those mystery things a lot of times could be virus I didn't talk about parasites. We'll talk about that a different day, but that could be the issue there. So we talked about MSM. I shared with you my favorite MSM called sulfurzyme, and I talked to you about why I like sulfurzyme. And I challenge you to do this for a month, no matter what you've got going on in your body. It's really easy. It comes in capsules, but my favorite is this powder, and you just simply put it in water. I put it in with something called Ninja Red. We heard about the goji berry, and it's phenomenal. Take that challenge. You will not be disappointed. Okay, so we talked about pain, viruses. We talked about Meniere's disease and how Meniere's a lot of times has to do with a virus or the Epstein-Barr virus. We talked about the Epstein-Barr virus, and we recommended, we talked about Sandy Shattuck as well, who has had a lot of experience with that, and you can connect with her. We talked about mold and how Holly Cope, I didn't share Holly's story. We'll have to hear Holly's story sometime. How Holly was one of those people where she was working in an area that was, infested with mold and just not good things. And she was breathing in that, and she was sick, and she wasn't doing well. And she made some radical changes in her life, and her body is so much better now. We talked about women's health and mold experts like Hans Hinterkopf. Very, very good as well. We talked about, oh, I didn't even talk about the teeth. Maybe next week we'll talk about that. We talked about chiropractic care and mystery headaches and fatigue and different things like that. Mystery constipation. Do you know how many patients I have seen that once they get good chiropractic care, they're no longer constipated? Patients that I've seen that get on that goji berry was telling you about, like, wow, I'm having regular bowel movements. I'm sleeping better. All of these things. Simple nutrition, simple chiropractic care, all of those things. So I hope this was helpful to you. I hope that your next step of where you're at. Usually we have about 3 different types of people who watch these Wednesday Wellness. People are just curious, like, oh, I don't know, I'm thinking about it. The best way to decide if this is something for you is, what was one thing that I said that you could make a change? One thing. Could you test out going to a chiropractor? Could you test out trying the goji berry, the Ninja Red, the sulfurzyme, all of those things? Definitely do that. That would be your next step. The second type of person is like, yes, I know I need to make a change, right? I know I need to make a change. I'm ready to make a change. And let's get started. If that's you, great. I definitely recommend, if you were invited by someone to watch this Wednesday Wellness, that you get back to that person and say, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to try. If you weren't invited, you're invited by me. Let me help you. Let's talk about the next step, and we'll get you started with maybe finding some solutions to what's going on, maybe a product or a resource or something like that. All right. And the third type of person, which I always love, that is phenomenal and a great support, are people who really want to help others, people who've had their own health struggles, people who have been down that road. And those are our wellness advocates. And if that is you and you're one already, we just give you a shout out and a cheer. But if you are looking at, hey, I want to help people. Yes, I've had that struggle and I found some solutions. If that is you, I want to invite you to tomorrow evening, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. We have a special overview for people looking at who really want to help others, who want to learn how to kind of put these pieces of the puzzle in place, and people who want to start gaining financially, especially in today's age, and how they can benefit their own family, supplement their income, all of that. So we have an overview program for those of you considering looking at that tomorrow, Thursday at 8:30. Will not be on Facebook Live. You'll need to ask me for the special link for that, and we invite you to one of those. So thank you so much. Get back to the person who invited you. Let them know. Are you a person number 1? I just want to kind of test things out, just curious. A person number 2 is like, yes, I know I need to get started and make some changes. Let that person know. Let your wellness advocate know. what's going on with you. Are you person number 3 who's like, yes, I am all in and I am ready to start helping people? Want to invite you to our overview tomorrow evening at 8:30. All right, I will see you. Congratulations for investing in you and being part of this Wellness Wednesday. I probably will shorten these up. I went way too long on this because I have so much to share and I just want to get it all in. So love you. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.